Who do you think has the best looking breaststroke of all time?
Underwater, me. Um, Honestly, above the water, Rebecca Stoney's stroke, I liked a lot.
Welcome to Social Kick. I'm Brian Lundquist. We got a full crew: Dr. John Mullen, Luke Paddington, and Lily King.
Hello, hello.
Told you I just have to say it that way. Hey, we got a few quick questions for you. What is the meanest thing that your brother or that you ever did to your brother?
Oh, that I ever did to my brother?
Yeah, you're the older sister. What'd you do to him?
No, I had to be nice to him because he was tiny. Um, yeah, I was a massive monster-sized child, and my brother was this big, so I had to be nice. Because I probably would have broken his bones.
That would have been nice. I should have.
He stepped on my head a couple times, but he still fails to recognize that he stepped on my head. So he might be responsible for all the things going on up there. We don't know.
well, I guess we need to find out what all the things are going on up there. What book are you currently reading or show are you watching?
I'm reading It Ends With Us, but I'm a very, very slow reader. So if I get a couple chapters a week, that's good for me.
That's pretty good. What's your signature dish that you make to bring to a party or a get together?
Ooh, I feel like I'm copying my mom, but I feel like to bring somewhere, I'll make bread. That's usually a pretty big hit.
Both metaphorically and actually, you'll make bread. You break bread together.
Yeah.
And finally, should there be a breaststroke only lane and warm up at meets?
Ooh, I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, I think so. Because I have breaststrokers anxiety. I think I came up with that on my own. But like the constant fear of getting run over. I'm like forever looking behind me while I'm swimming. So I think someone's coming to get me.
Well, I think every other swimmer has anxiety around breaststrokers of getting kicked in the stomach.
Oh, hey, listen, I've got a super narrow kick, so I promise I won't kick anybody.
Fair enough.
Well, we had Reagan Smith on the show a while ago, and we were just having a talk about relays and teammates on relays and kind of who makes you feel relaxed if you're feeling anxious or nervous behind the block for a relay. And we asked her who was that person for her, and she said, first person comes to mind, Lily King. Why do you think she said that, and why do you feel like your peers have this view of you?
Well, I will say in Reagan's case, and she's starting to grow out of it, thankfully, but she was such a nervous Nelly in the ready room, like so nervous all the time. Even like, 2019 world, she's like setting world records every time she hits the water. Still so nervous in the ready room. And I'm like, Reagan, come on, man, like you're fine. But I'm kind of like the ultimate distractor. I used to be so serious in the ready room, like when I was a teenager, and I'm so over it now. I just kind of want to have fun and joke around and talk to everybody in the ready room. So I guess that's why I'm like forever trying to distract Reagan though.
Love it. Now, you've been on the national team a while. You've been a captain before. Let's get to know some of the other national team members and see kind of what personalities fit with them. So if you had to name someone the class clown, who would that be?
Well, that would be Schmitty for sure. As far as current national teamers, I'm not sure. I would say either on the women's side, I would say either Phoebe or Alex. That would be my go-to.
Who do you room with on the national team?
Haley. Always.
Who is the hardest trainer currently on the national team?
I would say Charlie Clark currently. Yeah.
And last one, who is going to be the next breakthrough star in your opinion from the national team?
Well, define breakthrough and define like would it be someone who would have already made a big team?
Yeah, we'll say someone, that's already on the national stage who has been doing well, maybe at U.S. competitions or in training, where it's like they're going to, at the next international meet, they're going to really show some dominance or really step through.
Sure. I would honestly, I would say Bella, but Bella's already she's already Bella Sims. Like, I can't really say she would be a breakthrough. Like, the girl what she go 154 on that relay at Worlds this summer, like something stupid. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we've got such a young crew. So many high school kids, which is so different from when I was coming up. But yeah, I mean, like, I feel like they're all breakthrough stars, but they've all also broken through. Like, you know, the Sandpiper girls, they're vets at this point. It seems like, but yeah, I can't really name just one person, but it's been fun to watch those girls grow and develop and really just continue swimming super fast at the meets.
I got a question about yourself now. I live in New York now, and it's 5 degrees today, and I did not want to get out to even bring the garbage inside. It was so cold. And I was preparing for your show, and of course, we all know your accomplishments, but just to have it as a list of the world record, Olympic gold, all the list, all the you accomplished, I was like, I can't imagine what would make me get out of bed at 5 a.m. in Indiana to go to practice now in your stage of your career. What drives you right now, and how is it different to 2015?
Honestly, it's a real fear of a Ray Lew's phone call at 5:45 in the morning. That will get you out of bed real quick. No, I mean, I just have fun. Like, I love practice. A lot of elite swimmers don't love practice. I love going to practice, and even this week, like, I've been getting my lights kicked in and swimming terrible, but I still like going to practice and racing everybody and hanging with the team. And especially this year, like, our women have been swimming so, and the men too, but like, our girls have been swimming so much better than they have the past couple of years, and it just makes it easy to go to practice when you're swimming with people who have goals and who want to be successful. And, you know, even if that's completely outside of my goals, it's still fun to get up and go race people who are motivated and want to swim fast.
I love that.
So can you talk about a time that Ray did actually call you and wake you up?
It hasn't happened often.
Or do you just hear horror stories from other people who he's called?
Yeah, I guess I can tell this story now because it's been a while. So probably, I would say this was like October of 2016. So it was like right after the Olympics, right after, like, you know, everything, my whole anti-doping spiel had gone on. And I went to see Adele in Nashville.
Nice.
It was like a Sunday night.
Nice.
And my hometown's like halfway between Nashville and Bloomington. So I stayed the night at home. I said, I'm not going to be here for morning practice. Like, I went to a concert. I'm doing something for me. So I stayed the night at home, and it was probably 5:30 in the morning. And I just hear my phone buzzing. And I was like, God, like, I told him I wasn't going to be there. Like, I told him 2 weeks ago. I told him right before I left. He knows. He calls me and he's like, "Where are you?" And I was like, I'm in Evansville. I was like, I'm 2 hours away. And he goes, "The drug testers are here. Where are you?" And I was like, oh my God. I was freaking out. I was like, I cannot, like, obviously, like, can't really miss a drug test anyway, but I was like, especially right now, I cannot miss this drug test. Like, in my brain, like, at 19, I was like, my entire reputation's on the line. Like, what am I doing? And so I was like, I'm coming. It, you know, hauling ass trying to get there. I can get there in an hour and a half from my hometown. So I was like, I'll be there. Don't worry. So I'm peeling out of the driveway at 5:30 in the morning. And luckily I made it. And our drug testers were really, really good people anyway. They've been testing us for a while, so they stayed for me. But that was probably the worst Ray Lew's wake up call I think I ever had.
That's so lucky that you had that relationship for them to wait, because that happened to me once. And so I ended up with a missed test because I was watching the Masters golf tournament in my buddy's basement, and he has no cell service there.
Right.
And the drug testers showed up on a Sunday afternoon, and I forgot what my weekend hours were, because normally during practice times it's easy, but you know, on a weekend that's the harder one. And I didn't update it, and my roommate couldn't get a hold of me. And then after that I got hit up. I mean, USA Swimming was on my ass all the time about the whereabouts forms from there on for the rest of my career. So you dodged a bullet on that one.
Sometimes you just forget. You're like, sorry, like like, you know, some days I just well, I'll go to my parents' house or I'll go to my grandparents' house. I'm like, I'm just trying to live life. Sometimes I forget to update, but yeah, no, it's absolutely insane. They completely track you and follow you everywhere.
You're talking about your love for training, and you being, this week's been particularly tough. Talk about, I can't imagine training for a 50 right up to the 200 breaststroke and the range you must have in your training. What's that like right now for you? What's going on? What kind of work are you putting in to make sure you're covering all the bases, or you just focus on one and the racing covers the other two? Do you know what
I mean? Yeah, no, I do the same thing. I've done the same thing pretty much the whole time I've been in Indiana. So this is the first year I've switched it up. And I'm only doing 9 practices a week now instead of 10. So yeah, I swim a lot. But yeah, I mean, it's one, I think, I try to cover all grounds. I mean, I don't train as much breaststroke as I used to. When I was in high school, I was like very limited breaststroke training. I like barely did breaststroke at all. I trained a lot of IM and freestyle. And then when I got to college, I was still kind of more on the minimal side of doing breaststroke. And that's what kind of when my sprints were a lot better than my 200, but I think my 200 just hadn't developed yet. And then over the years, we kind of started adding more breaststroke until last year, I was probably doing the most breaststroke I'd been doing, period. Probably, don't quote me, but I would say probably at 5 of my 10 practices, I was doing breaststroke. And then this fall, I was like, all right, listen, like, I'm 25. We got to save the knees a little bit. Not that I've been really lucky and haven't had any injuries, thank goodness. But I was like, I think now's the time to kind of start cutting back to kind of what I was doing before, just a little bit more minimal breaststroke training, other than my big meat and potatoes breaststroke practices. So like my Monday afternoon, my Thursday afternoon, those are all breaststroke, 6,500. Like those are hard, get after it. But just kind of more of my additional things. I'm not doing as much breaststroke, but in terms of training for all the events, I mean, I feel like I don't really focus on one over the other. The 200 is one, like that's more of like my Saturday morning focus is 200 breaststroke. Monday afternoon's 200 yard breaststroke focus. Thursday afternoon is more 100 breaststroke focus than the 50s, the crapshoot. So it's kind of just like go for it after that. But yeah, it's one where I think naturally being a 100 breaststroker has played to my advantage a lot, because since naturally I'm very good at the 100, I just have to train up a little bit for the 200 and train down a little bit for the 50. So it's not one where I like really have to focus on which one I'm working on that year. It's just like whatever we're doing in practice that day.
This meat and potatoes comment you made, it's blew my mind a little bit. I think I swam 6,500 yards breaststroke in a year when I was in training. You do explain how do you do 6,500 yards breaststroke on a Monday and a Thursday? What's that involved? What's going on there?
You just gotta do it. I mean, don't think about it that much. Yeah, so I mean, our breaststroke practices, I feel like everybody's kind of seen our breaststroke practices at this point, especially with the people who have circled in and out of our breaststroke group. But yeah, I mean, essentially we do, it's all like, I don't know if you guys, how familiar you guys are with the colors, but like, it's all mostly like blue, best average type. Yeah. And we'll do like a kick set, a pull set, a swim set, and then we'll do power at the end. So yeah, so you just keep going and the yards ramp up pretty quick.
She does 6,500 yards breaststroke a lot faster than you do, Luke. So it's
not a year, and it's probably nonstop swimming. No.
Yeah, exactly. Not over a year. It's just from start to finish. It's a year.
Hey, you mentioned people cycling in and out of your breaststroke group. At this point in your career, have you ever thought about changing the training environment? Is there any possibility that you go somewhere else to train at some point?
No, not a chance. I'm here. I am. This is my spot. I also, just with the sheer amount of training that I do and that I know I need to be elite, I don't think I can get that anywhere else. That's the honest truth. And I do think our breaststroke group and the training that Ray has given me, I mean, and everybody else, I mean, just look at who's been through the group, like me, Cody, Annie, Ian, like, holy crap, look at like, just look at the list. It works. And I can't get that anywhere else. And I don't want to get that anywhere else. You know, I'm really happy here. And I made a decision at 17 years old to swim here, and it was the best decision I ever made. So, yeah, not a chance in hell I'm going anywhere else ever. I'll just quit before I do that.
What's the training? You mentioned need to be elite because you're now at you're the top and you're one of the greatest ever breaststrokers. What's the training needing provisions at Indiana? What does Indiana give you from the swimming to the diet? Talk us through what does elite training sound like?
Yeah, I mean, we just train really hard. Like I do a lot of, I still, you know, to this day, I do a lot of yards. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of places try to out-science the work that it takes to be good. And we're not, you know, sometimes a lot of people are like, well, just work smarter, not harder. And sometimes you just need to grind. Like that's about it. But I mean, I just, at this point, like I've been here, it'll be 8 years in August. I built such a community here. Yeah. You know, my home is here. Like, whether it's the coaches or kind of my support staff, people behind the scenes, like this is home. And I think, everybody, coaches, you know, support staff, that kind of people, like my crew, I can't replicate that anywhere else. And I think a lot of that is because I've been here so long. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to get that sense of community somewhere, you know, really quickly, I think.
Yeah. I'm curious about your race history, considering just a lot of fun races that you've been a part of and for a long time, especially like throughout all your college career. Do you have a favorite race that you've ever swam?
I have a favorite race, which might not be, actually, it's definitely not one you think it was, but, so I'm wondering if you want that one or if you want, like,
no, what to you?
Elite race.
No, to you. Like what's the most meaningful to you? What stands out when you're like, oh, that's the best memory?
Sound ridiculous. Okay, this is gonna sound crazy. I swam a 400 IM in a dual meet against Louisville my junior year. There's video somewhere. It's out there. I know it's there. And before the race started, Mike Westphal came up to me and he said, if you don't win this race, we lose the meet, which happened quite a few times. I had that conversation quite a few times with the coaches at that meet or any other meet. But this one, for some reason, he's like, if you don't win this, we're going to lose the meet. And I was like, damn, like, come on, Mike. Like, I don't want to do the 4 IM. And, but at some point I was like, all right, pull my head out of my ass and I got to do this race. So I was ahead for 1 yard of that race. And it was the last one. So it was one of the smartest races I ever swam. I was like so far behind the whole way, but I split like 56 on the freestyle and the dual meet. I've never split that in a suit ever. I just kind of went stupid at the end of the race. I went like 4:13 in a dual meet. It was my best time. I had no business going that fast. But I won and we won the meet. So that was my favorite race I've ever swam because it was just like so adrenaline filled and crazy. But yeah, I don't know. In terms of other favorite races, I've had a couple of really, really mean swims that I've done to people who I didn't care for much. I'm going to leave names out, but where I would typically it would happen the morning, the prelims of the 200 breaststroke at Big Tens. Let's just put it that way. And I'd swim a 150 easy breaststroke. And then I'd see if I could break 30 the last 50.
Oh my God.
So I'd swim this 150, like, oh my God, so slow, so slow. Like the people in the C final were beating me to the 150. And I start to hear the crowd like get really excited. Like they thought said person who I didn't care for much was going to beat me. And like I can hear her parents, like I can hear everything. I'm just feeding off. I'm like waiting. I'm like, you guys don't know how slow I'm going right now. And then I took off and won by like 3 seconds in the morning. So those are always fun. Not the kindest thing I've ever done, but
it's fun.
Those
You're
were
fun.
Who cares? Actually, speaking of Indiana, I remember this reminds me of one of like the angriest moment that I've had on a pool deck before, and our whole team did, is when we swam. Indiana came and swam us at Auburn, and this was a while ago, right? This like mid to late 2000s, and there was this dude, Sergey something. Yeah, Sergey Vasenko. So he wins whatever the 500 free, I think, in the middle of the meet. And whenever Auburn swimmers are winning a race, the crowd like does this thing, and the whole team does this like arm thing, War Eagle. Right. And we were beating Indiana pretty handily, but Sergey wins that race pretty handily himself. And as he's swimming into the wall, he goes to touch the wall with one hand, and the other arm in the air before he's touching is doing this. And when we shook hands after that meet, I thought somebody was going to just shove him in the water, and like it was good.
That's great. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
The dual meet antics are never ending. Like, obviously, like we've had a long-standing rival against Michigan, but we swam Michigan a couple weeks ago, and our girls, like God love them, they just swept the floor with them, like they killed them. And our parents are in the crowd chanting 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I was like, oh my God, you guys, like, geez Louise. Like it's not bad enough if the team's chanting 1, 2, 3, but the parents were chanting 1, 2, 3. Oh, it's crazy.
I got a question about, you definitely seem like somebody who hates to lose, hate being the right word. But who is that person you've hated to lose to the least? And I'm don't answer yet. Brian, John, and I are gonna answer first. We can take a guess, and then you're gonna tell us if you're right or wrong.
Hated the least or the most?
Least. No, the least. Who's like I mean, I would rather lose to you, Brian, than you, John, for instance.
Oh.
Right? Yeah. I'm okay with that. I'm okay.
Well, you do all the time.
My guess would be and I'm thinking international experience, training environments, drill meets. My guess would be you'd be okay losing to Cody and in maybe international Aaliyah. Only for observations of your racing, not knowing you or her. Aaliyah Atkinson. My guess.
Okay.
Brian.
Okay.
I don't have any guess, but I don't think you're going to race Cody. So
in practice,
I'll go with Annie Laser after re-listening to when we sat down with her.
Oh, geez. I don't know.
I'm going to say your mom.
My mom. Oh geez, I don't know. It's definitely not Alia because she beat me at Short Course Worlds in 2016, and I thought my life was over. Again, I was 19. I was being a little dramatic, but
good.
I did. I thought my life
great.
was over. I don't like losing to Annie. But I'm used to losing to Annie. So I'm more, I still don't like it though. I don't like losing to anybody. I'm trying to think. I guess I don't want to reveal my secrets.
Okay.
I guess I didn't mind losing to Tatiana at the Olympics because she set the world record. So I was like, okay, it took a world record to beat me. So yeah. That one wasn't too bad. And that was also just an incredible swim. But it definitely depends on the moment as well. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't mind losing to Molly Hannes that much when we were swimming ISL, but that's because we were on the same team.
Yeah.
But
You seem like such a gamer. Like there's a lot of swimmers who may have a better performance outside of the big final, and yet it seems like not only is the moment not too big for you, you thrive on it, and also if there's something motivating you from someone else in the heat, it's like you're somebody who looks around. It's like Chad Leclos, like famous for looking around. It's like, do you feel like you get a little extra there? Have you always been that way?
Yes. I've always been that way. So kind of story time. When I was 12, I won my first state title, and like, sounds so cheesy now, but it was like the greatest thing that had ever happened to me. And I was swimming the race, and all day I was telling myself, I was like, I'm going to win. Like, today's the day. And my mom's like, okay, well, like, yeah, just swim fast. And, the first 50 of the race, like, you guys know me, like, I take it out. Apparently this time I didn't. I'm like almost to the turn. I'm still swimming. I like turned around to look. There was nobody there. Like, I was in 8th. So like I've been looking around my whole life, even when I wasn't winning. But yeah, I mean, I think in terms of like just looking around, swimmers are so stupid. Like, they swim the same race every time. If I don't have to use every ounce of effort that I have, I'm not going to.
Yeah.
So like, I might as well look around and see where people are, and like, see, do I need to give a little more on this 50? Do I need to back off on this 50? Like, swimming is so much more play it by ear than people give it credit to. And I think swimmers are just predictable. So might as well look around and see where everybody's at.
We need more of that. Like, track and field is so good at that. Track and field is so good at just racing, and top 3 make it to the next round, not top 3 times. We need more of that kind of stuff. Just touch the wall and next we move on. Just race.
Yeah. Yeah. And my dad's a track guy. So like, that's how I grew up.
Yeah.
I've always been more in the racer category and not in the pacer category at all. So yeah, I'm always in for the race, and I'm never really in for the time, I would say, which has frustrated many of my coaches, but that's just how I am.
Well, obviously you've been around here on the, high level swimming scene for a while. Would you consider yourself an entertainer?
Yes.
Could you elaborate on what you mean by that?
As far as entertainer, I heard Greg Louganis speak when I think I was a freshman in college, and he was talking about how he grew up a dancer, and he always considered himself a performer, not an athlete. And I was like, that's an interesting way to think of it, especially, for diving, especially. But as far as in swimming, like, a lot of people, I think about the people in the crowd a lot. I'm like, okay, if I was here when I was 12, what would I want to see? And of course I want to see, the fast swimmers throw down, but like, let's play some games. Like, let's see what we can go on the last 50. Let's see how fast we can take it out and chill the third 50 and blast the last 50, or like something like that. Like, why does it have to be the same every time?
Yeah.
That's not fun. So I think being an entertainer, that is something that makes me a better racer. I know I've had so many races where I've put way more pressure on my shoulders than was even imaginable, or that even needed to be there. Olympics 2016, for example, like, you need any more pressure going into an Olympic final than there already is. But those situations are things that, like, making myself be an entertainer or performer, that's something that it gets me more excited to race. Mm-hmm. Doing something idiotic, maybe in the media, maybe in prelims or semis or whatever, to attract attention, to make my event the marquee event of the day. That's something that I love and that I thrive on, and that gets me excited to race, just because I feel like more eyes are going to be on me. So yeah, I would definitely say I feel like I'm an entertainer, but that's kind of how I like it.
Good. We need it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you brought up 2016. I think that's what everyone would say is probably the most entertaining marquee matchup we've seen in a while in swimming. Could you just kind of break through what you remember about that race? And now, since you're a few years removed from it, what you might tell yourself now about that situation, or if you would tell yourself anything?
I wouldn't tell myself anything because it worked out just fine. But yeah, it was, that one wasn't as intentional as some of my other, let's call them incidents. But that one was more just me being myself and also not really realizing everything that was going on at the Olympics. Like, you know, I was 19. I'd never been to World Championships. I'd never been to Pan Pacs. Like, that was really my first national team. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know I was being filmed in the ready room. I think NBC had like a GoPro in the corner. Now you walk into the ready room and they say, "You're being filmed." And I was like, I wonder who started that. But yeah, it was kind of crazy. I don't even really remember that much from it. I think I blocked most of it out, honestly. But I remember being like so crazy confident in the ready room, and kind of thinking like, I need to end this before it starts. Like, I need to, like, sorry, like, poor Yulia, like, sorry, I like literally tormented her. We chat now, it's like not a big deal, but yeah, I was on a different level. Like, I was just so unbelievably confident and ridiculous in the ready room, and like behind the blocks, I was staring at her, like waiting for her to look back at me. Who does that? But in the moment, like, it was just nuts. Just like the wave of confidence that I had. And like, honestly, blind confidence. Like, I had no reason to be swimming that fast. But I did. And yeah, it ended up working out just fine. But no, I wouldn't tell myself anything different. I mean, I handled it as well as I could, and as well as any 19-year-old, I think, ever could. Especially 19-year-old with a mouth like I have. But yeah, it all worked out just fine. So it's all good.
Where does confidence like that come from? When you say that you're just like peak confidence, almost like an unbeatable confidence, that's a powerful tool, but what do you think led to that feeling?
I think now later on in my career, it obviously stems from the work that's put in at practice. You know, like, I know, with the exception of Annie, no one else is training the way I'm training. That's just a fact. Like, no one does. And I know that because Ray has asked every other elite breaststroke coach in the world what they're doing, and they're not doing what we're doing. So that's like number one, is I know I'm doing more. I know I'm doing it faster. I know I'm doing it better. And the second thing I have noticed over the years is that I get more confident the harder the race is. So like, the more competitive the race is, like, I think I just get excited. And knowing that I have the base that nobody else has, and then the excitement on top of that is like a dangerous combination. Dangerous. And it's not something that I can control. I wish I could, but I can't all the time. And I'll go years without having that feeling. So when it does come along, that's when I know I'm on, and it's go time. I felt that way at Short Course Worlds for the 100 breast, and I knew that's because Ruta was coming to play. And obviously got a really great race out of that. So yeah, it's the excitement plus the knowing I put the work in. That's a pretty dangerous combo, I think.
Big time. Back to the ready room a little bit, in the confidence there. Dua Draganja told us about Alex Popov would walk in the ready room, and he'd just walk in and go, "Gentlemen," and like, that's when the race was won already. He just walked in there, and he was like dominating already, the alpha male in that room. And everybody looked at Popov as like, "Oh my God, there's Alex Popov. We're done for." What do you do when you enter the ready room now? Do you say anything? Are you chatty? Are you keep to yourself? You just say it to your friends? Or you're in the zone doing your thing right now?
So I used to do that. I used to be like in complete control of everything.
You said gentlemen?
Yes, I refer to all the women as gentlemen, as they deserve. And, no, but I was in complete control. And then at some point that just didn't feel organic to me anymore. And it felt like, I feel like as the word got out that I was like really intense in the ready room, people were expecting me to do that. And then sometimes I just didn't want to be intense in the ready room. Like sometimes I just want to talk in the ready room. And now I've kind of moved away from that, and I'm more like, I'll talk to anybody. If anybody wants to talk to me, feel free to come up and chat with me. So I've kind of got my people that I always talk with. And like whoever, like feel free, jump in to chat. But I'm kind of over the whole like being serious and controlling in the ready room thing. Like, let's go race and, we'll see who does it there. But yeah, it's been like a literal like 180 shift, I think, from the beginning of my career.
Wasn't there some, you brought up Ruta, was there something to Short Course Worlds where she took forever to get on the block and you like looked at her and you're like,
all right,
what are you doing?
So
clarify.
Indy, okay, I technically started it, but so like for the longest time, I've been the last one on the blocks. Like that's been my thing. Again, I want to feel like I'm in control. So I'll be the last one on the blocks. I'll take forever. I'll have my moment. Like everybody's waiting for me. They know they're waiting for me. That's the deal. But that was also when I was kicking everybody's asses. So like it was okay. Like I felt that I had earned that respect for my competition. And it's kind of like how Phelps would do the arm flap thing. Like everybody would wait for it. I wanted people to wait for me. So I've been doing this for years. And in Indy at the World Cup, Ruta beat me in Toronto in both, and then beat me in the 100 in Indy, and I was pissed. I was like, how dare you beat me in my home pool? And so then the day of the 50 comes. She's obviously going to beat me in the 50. And she is like waiting for me to get on the block. And I was like, I don't care. So I just got up. So I didn't get up last, I got up. And she totally had my number, got me. Then she beats me in the 50. Then I get out. Then I'm mad because I got beat and outweighted. And then Ray screams at me because I didn't get on the blocks last. So it was like, this whole thing was like, it was just a storm brewing. So then we get Short Course Worlds. And it's the 100 semi. And Ray is like, I would rather you get disqualified than get on that block before she does. And I was like, I'm not getting yelled at again. I was like, I know I'm an 18-hour flight away, but I am not safe. I was like, I'm not safe right now. So I stood there and I waited, and it was like the longest. And I've had some standoffs before. Like this is not the first time this has happened. But I waited it felt like 30 seconds. Like it was so long. So then Ruta finally calls it quits, gets on the block. And then I kind of snicker and laugh. And then I get on the block. And then they call the whole heat back down. And I was like, oh my God, we're going to get DQ'd. Like, we're going to get disqualified. But then after that, I was like, okay, well, like I won. So then I just hopped on the block. It wasn't a big deal.
That would be the world's funniest thing to get DQ'd about. Is if you two just get pulled aside and get a talking to in the chairs behind the blocks.
It'd be so bad. I've gotten like yelled at about it before. I wasn't even taking that long at that point in time. This was like when I was in college. But
yeah. Lily, swimming needs this. Swimming needs this, the rivalries and the competition and the tension. Our sport's going to continue to stay where it's at if it's not for some raw, honest emotions. And that's what we're about. It's important. So
we gotta spice it up. I mean, swimming's been boring for so long. Like we need to do something fun and exciting and have rivalries. And I feel like, especially on the women's side, like everyone's been so polite for so long, and like, screw it. Like, do I like Ruta? Yeah, but do I want to beat her? Hell yeah. It's one like, why are we not showing our competitive side?
Yeah.
Why
it
not?
used to be worse. Victor Davis, the great 100 breaststroker from Canada, he used to spit in the opposing lane and then get up and race them. You try and race. How you feel about that?
Oh, I mean, that's a little intense for me personally, but I respect it. Hey, listen, if you're kicking the crap out of people, you can do whatever you want. Like if you pull that stuff and then you lose, then it's not cool anymore. Yeah. But like if you're winning, you can do whatever you want. So that's just kind of my opinion on it. Like you can't do something crazy and then go lose. Because obviously it's not working.
No.
So
I tried all the time. It doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly.
You did mention in the ready room your mindset and your plan, changing 180. And when you said that, it made me think of 2020 Olympic trials when I think after the 100 breast, you're being interviewed and you said, I was trying to get in, Lydia's head, Jacoby's head. And then I think I was deep diving some comments online and people were like, oh, she's bullying the 17-year-old and things like that. Do you think that's just a kind of a sexist view that, her, and like you said, you being a female, you can't come at another female like that? Or what are your general thoughts on people reacting that way?
Honestly, I think SlimSlam made me the enemy a long time ago. And like, I don't really care. Like, I feel like it's a gossip column anyway. So they're going to come for me on that. Come get me, guys. Nothing you haven't done to me yet. But yeah, I feel like I have a large group of haters out there. I don't really care. None of them have ever said anything to my face. So like, okay. And the people who know me know I'm not a horrible person anyway. So yeah, I did see that. It was actually, this was really funny to me because that day I was bullying Lydia, and which I had no intention of. Like, I'm just trying to get ready to race. I also had a mask on. Like you know how hard it is to get in people's faces when you're doing this? Ruined my game. Anyway, so I was like bullying Lydia and should be removed from the Olympic team for safe sport for looking at somebody in the ready room.
It's probably coming.
And then 3 days later, I was the world's best friend when Annie made the team. And yeah, everybody was like, "Oh, everybody needs a friend like Lily," and I'm like, "What's going on?" Like, if the internet was telling me who to be, I wouldn't know who I was right now. But yeah, I mean, I think sexist, yes, at some point in time, yeah, I think it was, but I think you have a couple people who are, and unfortunately, I feel like SlimSlam runs things now. Like they run your reputation. They decide who's cool and who's not, and you're like, all right. And at some point, I was not the cool kid anymore. Mm-hmm. So it's fine. It's not a big deal. But yeah, that's kind of how things work out every once in a while. And if you have a mouth on you, which I do, that's not super popular with the white collar country club swimming people, which I'm not. So
God, it's so true. Yeah, I mean, it makes you an easy target because you're the only one who talks, and everybody else just shuts the hell up, which is annoying.
Obviously, like, why would they talk? Look at how I've been treated. Like, you have an opinion. Oh.
Also, to your point, like if you talk shit and you don't back it up, then you look awful.
Right.
And there's not that many people who can deliver after talking shit, like if you consider it that.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like, even, when I have been talking shit, I've been destroying people. So I'm like, okay, sorry. Like, I'm the enemy. I'm cocky. Ooh, yeah, I am cocky. I don't care.
Has it ever backfired on you?
Unintentionally, not. I will say the one thing I have said that I feel like has backfired, but it was not intentional at all. Before Tokyo, I said in a press conference, I was like, hey, like, I think this women's team is really strong. Like, and I was literally like looking through everything. It was like before, it had come out that, all of Simone's, health issues of that year. I was really like looking through everything, and I was like, we have a chance to win an individual gold in every event. Like, okay, let's look through it. Simone, 50 in the 100, Katie, the 2, the 4, the 8, 15, Reagan, the backstrokes, Tori, the hunter fly, Haley, the tuner fly. You know, and I'm leaving people out, obviously, not intentionally. I'm just like in my brain. You know, me, hunter, tuner breast, or Annie, whoever. And then Alex, 2 IM, Emma Wyatt, 4 IM. I was like, this is your list. I was like, these people all very well could win an individual gold medal in their event. That's what I said. I said, hey, listen, like, if I think we have the meat we can have, I think we can win all the individual gold medals. And for whatever reason, the Australian media picked that up and said, Lily King said Australia is not going to win any gold medals. And I was like, that's not what I said at all. So that would be the one time I would say it was backfire, but it was mostly because it was completely misunderstood what I said. I wasn't I'm really not bashing the Aussies. I'm just saying, like, I'm really confident in our girls, and I think we're going to have really good meet. That was my intention, but that's not what came off.
Lily, it's one of the reasons we wanted to have you on the show. Probably the main reason is why we started the show off, just to get to know who you were and your personality a bit more, because we all know your performances, obviously. And we had a similar experience with Gary Hall Jr. We had him on maybe a couple of times, right, guys? And Gary had a very similar experience as well with you in Australia. He if there was context that smashed him like guitars, you'd realize he was actually saying a really, really kind, loving thing about Australian swimming, respect for Australian swimming. But they just took the one little quote and made it this big thing in 2000, right? And it was good. And I enjoy these conversations about getting to know Lily King, not the Olympic gold medalist. So going back to how we started the show off, what does life look like after swimming? Is it still in swimming, maybe in admin or coaching? What are you doing now that you love? What are you studying? What's Lily King, not the swimmer?
Right now, my life is Groundhog Day right now. I go to practice, I come home, I nap, I go to practice, I go to bed. So that's every day. I don't know. Post swimming, I haven't really decided. Honestly, if I could do clinics for the rest of my life, that would make me happy. Yeah. I love being out and getting to work with kids and getting to have that impact on them. That a lot of Olympic swimmers had on me when I was growing up. That's something that's really, really important to me, because you never know which one of those kids is going to end up the next big thing. Like, I'm sure the clinics I went to, whatever Olympian national teamer was running the clinic, surely they didn't think that one right there is gonna be the next big thing. So that's something that's really important to me, to be able to give back to the kids and to the sport that I feel like has obviously given me this life that I have. But yeah, so doing clinics I think would be cool. I don't know. I kind of want to do something really like boring for a while. Like, I think I want to be a dog walker. I'm like looking at retirement jobs. Like, I just want to kind of live life and not think too much. After having a job that is a 24/7 job and having done that for the last, like, let's be real, like at the elite level for like probably the last 10 years. I want to be able to not think about when I'm going to bed, or not thinking about what I'm eating, or not think about needing to stretch or doing this or that, and just kind of living life and figuring out who I am without swimming. That's something I'm going to probably do once I'm done. But yeah, clinics are good. I might end up coaching. I don't know. I might end up doing like athlete mentoring type stuff. I would like to stay involved with the sport though, for sure. I do, like, whenever I'm having a bad day, I try to think about, like, this is what 8-year-old you always wanted to do. Like, you're the person you always wanted to be when you were a little kid. And that really helps me push through those bad days. So even when there are days like, I don't know if I can keep doing this, like, I need to retire like now, which it doesn't happen often. Like, you do have those thoughts every once in a while, but I just kind of think back and think, like, if you at 8 years old could see what you're doing now. Like, I swim breaststroke and wear Crocs for a living. Like, that's literally all I wanted to do. So, yeah, that's kind of where my mind's at. I'm currently and for post swimming.
The sport needs you. The 8-year-olds need to hear what you just said. The Olympic gold medalists need to hear what you said.
I hope.
Lily, we got a few rapid fire questions before we let you go.
Oh, let's do it.
It's the hardest race in swimming.
200 long course breast.
Olympic gold or world record?
Yes. Olympic gold.
Do you pee in the pool?
Yes.
If you could pick any superpower that isn't teleportation or flying, what would it be?
Oh, well, that's hard. I don't even know what my
picked.
rapid fire answer is now. Maybe if I could be like a shrinker guy, like Ant-Man. That was the first thing that came to mind. I have no idea.
I'm gonna shrink in the edit right now.
When you train outside, what SPF number are you wearing?
50. And it's like Elmer's glue.
I bet. Have you ever cried at practice?
Yeah.
Do you remember the practice?
There have been too many to count. We call it croggling, crying in your goggles.
I've never heard that. Which Olympic sport would you be best at besides swimming?
I have no idea. I've been asked this question so many times. I have no idea. I would want to do something that wasn't as hard as swimming. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
I was gonna say a winter sport, like speed skating, maybe because your legs are so strong. But you have also like a really strong pull in your breaststroke too, so it need to be something.
I think it's
more full body,
easy, like shooting.
Do you have a good eye for shooting?
No.
Well, then that's
but it's easy.
It's not aerobic.
There's the retirement gig right there.
It's not an anaerobic sport. Not even anaerobic, just not aerobic at all.
Who do you think is the best breaststroker of all time?
You're baiting me with this one. Oh wow, I don't know. I don't have an answer for you.
What about who do you think has the best looking breaststroke of all time?
Underwater, me. Above the water. These are hard. I don't know. I'm like scrolling through. Honestly, above the water, Rebecca Stoney's stroke, I liked a lot.
Beautiful breaststroke. Okay. Do you like doing social kick?
Yeah.
Do you guys do it?
Here's the thing. Corey always writes kick with fins, and I have changed that to kick with friends. So that's our social kick is kick with friends now.
I like that. Can you even do social kick doing breaststroke, by the way?
Yeah.
It's kind of antisocial.
Well, I can breaststroke kick with my fins on, so you just can only have one buddy.
You have knees of gold, Lily King.
I do.
I don't know what that's going to do long term, but you have been blessed. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. Super fun to get to chat with you. Appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, we'll see you at a meet soon. That's it for this episode of Social Kick, and we'll see you next time.
Cool.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you're enjoying Social Kick, tell your friends about it. And be sure to tell us what you liked by leaving a comment and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Instagram. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Social Kick, and you can find all of our content on our website,